Alright guys, today we're going to be doing something a little bit more chill. And I was thinking about streaming modeling for one of the weapons for the Roblox game I'm working on. Kind of as just like a side thing. Um, and I noticed there was like 15 seconds of silentness at the beginning of the stream as I was waiting for it to refresh on Twitch. So that's what that is from. Um, yeah, I kind of want to do like a combat knife or something because that would be easiest. Um, I've already made like a really low detail Glock here. Uh, but that was actually like kind of challenging. Just to like I don't usually do hard surface modeling. So doing that was more difficult for me, and even trying to use like Boolean modifiers and stuff never seemed to really work reliably. So I think to continue with the trend of having a more chill stream today, we'll make a more chill model, so to speak. Although I do want to have weapon customization in the game, so I'm probably going to make multiple parts, if not during the stream, then off stream. But let's start. I think I'm going to make a new collection for it. And yeah, I guess I'll just commit completely to the combat knife thing, and I'll just make a new collection called combat knife. And I guess I should start with the handle. Um, I was gonna say I should find some reference images, but because this is an easier model, I don't think I have to rely on them nearly as much. Like for the Glock, it was so specific and so like constrained on how accurate I had to be that I actually just imported another 3D model and then used like orthographic perspectives to basically use the model itself as a reference, and that yielded pretty good results, although it is pretty derivative in some spots, which I'm not sure that's like a good thing or a bad thing. It seems like you can never find, when it comes to like guns and stuff, you can never find two pictures that are exactly the same, unless you're like actually educated on how the uh, different models and stuff work. Like if you look up Block 17, uh, generation 69 point version 2.3 beta alpha version, you usually don't get the same pictures. So I kind of just try to make something that was close enough, and I think it turned out pretty well. But without further ado, let's move on to the combat knife. I think I'll import at least one reference image, but there isn't going to be one particular kind of combat knife in the game because again there's going to be customization, so really make a varying range of types of combat knives. But this looks like a good reference. I'm going to call this order combat knife, and I'll just plop it in there. All right, let me import that now, add it to the scene. Say image, references, combat knife. Yeah, perfect. Reset the rotation really quick, and then I have to rotate it on the y-axis. Okay, that's probably fine. Let me just scale it down. I'm not going to worry about um, having a realistic scale yet, so I'll just scale it to something that seems reasonable enough, kind of like that. And then if I feel the need, because again, the combat knife gives me a little more leeway in exactly how I like measure things out. If I feel the need to rescale it at the end, I will. But let me just move this out a little bit from the Glock and make sure it's fairly centered. We may begin the modeling process. And once again, because this isn't going to be nearly as detailed, I don't think I'm even going to have to directly line it up when I model it. be a little more creative with this. Let's just add a cube really quick and quickly get a mirror modifier set up. Let me just pull up this search tab I have to have some other influences when I'm modeling this. I think in order to use the least amount of polygons, I'm not going to do any fancy grip stuff yet. I think I'm just going to have that sort of hump in the middle, like you see with the reference image we already have. Even though there are some divots in the grip, it looks like, I'm probably not going to add those, at least not yet. Alright, so I think I'll just start like this. Probably scale that. And I'm not going to connect those quite yet. I'm going to move it in a little bit more, so it'll be approximately the width of the grip. Move this down. I'm constraining it to the z-axis. And yeah, I guess I'll have a bit of a pommel on the end. I guess it would still technically be referred to as a pommel, on a knife. Okay, now we actually... Okay, well, maybe I should have done this with a cylinder instead. Um, yeah, I guess that'll probably yield better results. Let me do that really quick. I will actually start with a circle. I don't need that many vertices, really. And we will undo everything we've done so far, as we love doing on this stream. This doesn't even look completely orthographic in the reference image, which is good and bad. It's good because it sort of makes it a little less derivative, the final model, but also it's bad because it makes it less derivative, which means it's not going to be as accurate to what most combat knives would look like. But in this specific instance, I think it is more of a good thing than a bad thing. Basically just redo what we had before and make sure I am mirroring this. Fortunately, I chose a good amount of vertices for that circle, so I don't have to redo it again. You can sort of just split down the middle quite nicely. We'll just work our way up the handle. I kind of feel like it would become more squared off towards the top here. Maybe I'll do something like that. We'll just add one other loop cut in the middle. Alright, that's probably fine. And how do why are there seams here? Not sure why it was doing that. But I think to make it more squared off, what we can do is set our cursor right about there. And then I think we'll scale using proportional edit at the 3D cursor, and let's just see how this looks. Okay, so towards the top, that's definitely making it more square. But if we increase the influence along the handle, how does that look? Because I don't think a combat knife's handle is completely round, so something like this might actually be better. I mean, in this image, it looks like it's more of a round one, but it can honestly go either way. Wait, why is it detached? No. I accidentally turned clipping off somehow? Yes, I did. What if I used sharp fall off? Keeps turning clipping off, so that's really fun. The thing is, it's like difficult to do this without like messing up the model. I feel like there's something I'm missing here. Maybe what I should try and do instead is actually scale these vertices out. Okay, maybe I'll just do it a little bit more manually. It's in, and then I'll just make the entire thing a little less wide. That's probably good. Okay, that's probably pretty good. Probably, maybe, potentially pretty decent. Alright, well, let's move on to the cross guard, question mark. I think that's what that is. Although the terminology might be different on a knife. But at the same time, I do not care too much. Now, the thing I like about using octagons is you have a really nice way to fill the, like, caps in. And it also turned clipping off again, which is really nice. But you can basically just do this. It even gives you some extra geometry to move around if you so please, but I think I'm just going to keep it like that. And because, again, we want customization, um, I'm going to create a new object for the um, cross guard. Let me actually just make it sharp in some spots using auto smooth. I think I'll make it sharp here. Probably there as well. Um, yes, I could make it sharp here. See how that looks. But that's pretty good. It actually gives some nice separation to the pommel. It almost looks like I could... Do I want to do that? I don't know. Mark sharp here. How does it look? I think it would look better if the topology matched it better. Like kind of having this little, I guess, crease here. But because our edges are actually way farther out than they are on the reference image, I don't think it's going to work as well. But let me actually, that reminds me, can I just move this out a little bit? I think that looks better. Still not going to do the sharp edges thing, though. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger as well. Okay, let's move on to the cross guard. So I'm going to call this handle. And then we're going to have cross guard. And this will be pretty simple. Basically, what we're going to do is, first of all, move this out a little bit. Then I'll flatten it, scaling on the x-axis. Then we can just move this out, basically. Alright, do that. Okay, works. It looks like in the reference image, the crossguard is really thin, so I suppose we will stay true to that. Maybe like that. That looks even thinner than in the reference image. Okay, we don't want proportional edit for this. Although, I think it'd be kind of cool to just mark these edges sharp. Okay, that looks pretty good. We already renamed it, so that's good. Now we can move on to the coolest part, the blade. Yeah, I think we're ready to there. We'll call this blade. And yeah, the origins are on the same spot, so that's good. Let me just get rid of all the vertices we don't need here. How am I gonna do this? Looks like we have decent topology to start us off with. Like I could see how as we extrude, this could serve as kind of like the flat, I guess it would be called. And then this would turn into the actual edge, although it's usually never that simple in practice. But let's just do it and see what happens. This planning is lame. And it should be mirroring as well, it's just not showing because it's being hidden by the rest of the geometry. And that should be good. I just need to start rooting this. Let me find a different reference image before I do that, and then I'll just sort of form it to that just to give some variety. So we'll have sort of like a not sharp part here. Then it looks like uh how do I even do that? It's kind of like this transition where it becomes like way sharper, but it's only on one side, so I don't know how I should approach that topologically. I could add like a loop cut here. But then they're not as even. Oh, let's just persist with this. Actually, let me merge these vertices. Creates scary triangles, but also, well, yeah, I don't think there's any easy way to get around that right now. But it also allows us to do this. Wow. And I'm actually extruding the wrong faces. That's cool. And once we mark sharp, this should look pretty good. Let's just do that now, actually. It looks really ugly right now. Should be all the faces we need. Actually clear sharp from there. Are the normals correct here? For some reason it feels like the normals are off. Huh. Not sure why that is. Well, let's just keep going. Maybe we could have done this on both sides. Okay. Whatever, let's just do that. And see how it looks. I completely forgot how the topology looked before. Can I just Control Z? Oh god. I think I merged those vertices, and I would dissolve this edge. All right. What we're going to do this time is we are going to... Can I inset faces? It'd be nice if I could inset faces, but actually have these two edges merged. Hmm. Now I kind of want to go back to what I had before. Um, all right, we'll add cuts on either side, and we'll use the knife tool. Add those back in. Can I do this? Will this work? Looks like it did. Probably isn't the way I did it last time. Then we should be able to... Wait, do I even need a... I don't think I need the cuts on the bottom. All right, and then we just... First of all, I don't want this one to be as sharp. Wait, which side do I want to be sharp, actually? I think I'll just make the left side sharper for now. Then if it makes more sense later on, I could probably like mirror the geometry or something. Why is it doing that when I edge slide? I just want to... I just move along the y-axis? Okay, that actually works better. Right, and then we will extrude once more. Mark everything sharp that I need to. Anything that must be marked sharp will be marked sharp. I feel like I'm missing something. Oh yeah, this one, this one. Are there any that I don't want to be sharp? I actually want these ones to be sharp as well. Everything else looks fine though. Let me make this a little bit sharper, actually. Like, actually sharper, not marking the edges as sharp. Alright, and then let's see, how does this curve go along the blade? How do we want to scale this to? That's another question. Requires an answer. Do I even... Wait, do I even need this, this center loop here? I don't think I do. I'm just gonna get rid of that for now. And let me actually scale this to line up. And I'll probably do the same thing on the bottom while I'm at it. Okay. So now we should be better off just extruding. So we will... Wait, why is it... It'd be really nice if we could maintain all the edge sharpness and everything I already had. I don't know if that's going to end up being the case. Doesn't look like it. The other question is, how do I want to make the knife taper? as it goes up, and I probably don't want to scale it because that would decrease the width of the blade or the edge. So I'm probably just going to move the vertices on the edge, and I think that will work pretty well. This one looks like its paper starts really high up. Maybe I'll do something kind of like that. We could probably go even higher if I'm going to do that. Something like this, sort of. Basically, we'll just move these points in as we get to the top. Like the other side should taper a little bit, but maybe linearly. Does that work? Um, hmm. How would I do that? Let me, bring this edge down. And then somehow I have to sort of join the two, um, like, sides of the blade together to create a point. And I don't think we need these vertices if we're going to do that. Yeah, that just creates another quad, so that's kind of nice. And I think since this one's bigger, it will be the greater influence of the point. Kind of do something like that. Blade looks a little bit long right now, though, so we're gonna have to correct that. Also, the point could probably go back a little bit. Actually, how does it look if I do this? I feel like we need a little more geometry or something there. Maybe once I add the taper for the other side, it'll start looking better. So, crap. Kind of running out of space to do tapering. Maybe I'll merge them at the top, which, okay, that's just a triangle, which is fine. Basically, just try and make this as linear as possible. It's not very apparent, though. The song kind of sounds like the Spore soundtrack. I don't know if I said that before. How does that look? Pretty good, pretty good. I think the taper could be a little bit shorter. So maybe I could just scale all these vertices on the z-axis towards the cursor. And I'll probably make the point a little more centered. Blender is going to lag, so that's cool. I always like when Blender lags. And let's just mark sharp really quick, a bunch of these vertices. Um, Probably want to do the same thing for this one. Okay. I feel like if I had a different shading mode on, it would be more apparent. Yeah, there we go. This is looking pretty good, minus the positioning of the tip. And I guess for customization options, we could also have like maybe a serrated blade, like a hollow blade to make it lighter. Just thinking of random ideas there. So this could be as simple, fixing this, I mean, be as simple as using proportional edit. Let's just give that a whirl. Use sharp. Sharp is actually giving much better results, so let's stick with that. The thing is, if we do something like this, it's kind of stupid because you can see the tip sort of is kind of crooked. So if you were trying to stab someone with it, it would kind of go in the wrong direction. And I speak of this like I'm some sort of weapon enthusiast, but really this is just like a appreciation and enjoyment of the shooter genre and specifically games like Metal Gear Solid. Basically, gun cool pew pew is my motivation for making a game in this genre. I think if I just get this as straight as possible, that might sort of solve the problem. I think that looks pretty good. Yes, indeed it does. Indeed it does. Um, I'm not sure if there's anything else I have to do for this base model now. The width is pretty good. We did a good job with that as well. All right, let's name this properly. So, the naming convention I've set up sort of allows it to be imported into Roblox Studio easier. So, basically, you have, I mean, I haven't made this a 100% established distinction yet, but there are things that make up weapons, and dividing those things are components, and then there are attachments. Components are the base parts that make up like the base of the weapon. So in this case, it would be the handle, the blade, and then attachments is basically anything beyond that that's put on the weapon that isn't really necessary for its functioning. Um, and attachments can be reused, although not always, whereas components are never reusable. They're only made for one specific weapon type. So that would be sort of the workflow distinction between the two. Um, so like for example, it's kind of difficult to have attachments for a knife, because I'm like, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna put a scope on the knife, or? But you could have like some sort of keychain or something on the bottom, or maybe some sort of hand guard, kind of like how you have on rapiers. So there's some potential ideas, but yeah, that's the distinction. And whenever you make a component, you have the type of the component, and then you or this is the naming convention I came up with. Then you make an underscore, because for some reason Roblox has established the convention of using underscores to distinguish names in Blender. Because if you put underscore capital A lowercase t, it turns it into an attachment automatically in the engine. So I just like to stay consistent with that. Um, so like blade, and whenever it's the, I mean, I don't think this is a strict rule yet, but I've usually been naming the standard components standard. So this is blade standard, so it would be the standard blade. If you were to try and format it in the engine, so this would be crossguard standard, and then handle standard. I don't know if I want to separate the pommel or not. You know, I kind of want to have as much customization as possible. In Roblox, I actually don't know too much about the inner workings of the engine because it's not sort of it's not made very clear to the developers. But I think it is like you don't have to worry about draw calls and stuff like that nearly as much because Roblox is basically designed and optimized to take a bunch of different meshes and smash them all together in a way that works. So it probably handles all that stuff under the hood. So I'm not nearly as afraid of having like a bunch of separate meshes and stuff as I would be in like Unity because there's no inbuilt solution there for reducing draw calls. So yeah, I mean anywhere I can create separation, I would like to. So yeah, let's actually separate the pommel from the rest of the handle, and that'll allow us to create like spiked pommels and stuff like that, which would be pretty cool. I should probably do that in a better way. I think I can just separate it right from the model. Yeah, and it still has the edges and everything like that too, so that's good. Let me just fill in the faces really quick. That looks pretty good. Um, and I mean, if a player was like insane enough, if they wanted to, they could just not use a handle. Maybe I should design the blade so you don't necessarily need a cross guard either. Although there would be some clipping in that case, unless I was extra careful. Yeah, you know what? Screw that. I'm not gonna allow the player to not use a cross guard. Maybe a shortened cross guard though. It'd be cool. Alright, so this is the handle, and then this would become the pommel. Be standard. So let's create some different components now. Starting with the serrated blades. So instead of standard, it's gonna be blade serrated. And let's hide the other one. Okay. Now we don't want to go too crazy with the amount of vertices we're using. I almost want to do this just like through a texture or something. Because otherwise I'm just gonna have to use a crap ton of vertices. Let me see what it is on the internet. Just to see how like large the teeth are on a serrated combat knife. Knife. So some of them look pretty small, which we could then get away using a texture. Why is the... Okay, for some reason, YouTube just paused the soundtrack I was listening to. So thank you, YouTube. I've been getting these weird pop-ups from YouTube recently. Specifically regarding, certain ad blocking, solutions. So basically, anyone who uses Brave Browser and doesn't really think too much about it is going to be getting these pop-ups without knowing why. When Brave actually has a built-in ad blocker. that they may have just turned on without realizing. It may be on by default. I'm not sure. Um, Back to what we were doing. I don't think I'm ready to really bake textures yet for this. We may have to avoid the serrated blade for now. But I think it would make much more sense to use a texture to bake that in. I think what my approach is going to be, because I want there to be like weapon skins and stuff like that, is there will be a surface material for all meshes, and hopefully, once again, that doesn't create draw calls or anything like that. Um, but the normal textures will not be controlled by the players, but the diffuse textures that control the colors and stuff will be. So I have to sort of find a convention for that, I suppose. Um, so, like for example, one skin could have a different fabric texture and then a different metal texture. Like you're not going to be able to customize the material colors individually because there's no easy way you can do that in Roblox unless I literally separated all separate parts into um separate objects, which would just be like a headache. Um Although maybe later down the line I could do something like that. It really just depends on draw calls and stuff like that. Performance. But it would still be a headache. I just have to find a way to sort of capture the headache before it becomes too big of an issue. It's more like code logic to worry about, basically. But let's just ignore the serrated blade for a second, and we'll just do something easy. Let's make a new type of cross guard. I'll call this cross guard shortened. And this will be basically just a shrunk down version of the other cross guard. But I wonder if there's like depending on how this goes, I might actually make some scaling options just like a thing you can do in game. Like you wouldn't need to rely on shortened crossguard. You could just scale the actual crossguard. Although that sounds like a bit of a headache for actually applying that to gameplay. Because if you say like a shortened crossguard um allows you to like draw the knife faster, but at the same time um you sort of can't get as good of a grip, um how would you then turn that into an algorithm that could scale with the that could match up with the scaling of the mesh along a certain axis? Which you could do, but again, it's just more code logic, and I'd like to avoid that as much as I can. But yeah, now we have two different cross guards, extremely detailed cross guards. Um, and let me just look up like customized combat knife. There may also be a good example to show the use of like an attachment. So there's also that. It looks like people just put like strings and stuff on combat knives. Let's see what else I could do a holster, but I don't know how that would translate to game logic. It kind of just sounds like more things to worry about. Um, I could oh, let's make a different type of handle. Make one that has like finger grip spots. It looks like the knife is going to be held Yeah, I think the grips would be on this side. I think that would make more sense. So I will call this handle. What would be the term for that? Would it be like gripped? Be there. Um, let's see. I don't think gripped actually refers to that. Yeah, what would the term for that be when you have like little finger gaps in the grip? Sort of terminology I can find here. Oh, this is just like how people hold knives. This is materials, which I don't really want either. Oh, it could be contoured. That might be the word. That sounds like it would be it. Okay, yeah, that's the best term I think I'm gonna find. Yeah, let's call it that. Handle contoured. I'm spelling it right. Let me look up the Google definition just to make sure I'm not making any easily correctable typos. Um, yeah, that's how you spell it. Yay me. Alright, let's make the actual grips here. But how is the question? Like, once again, I would prefer not to add a lot of edge loops or anything like that. I don't think there's any way around it, really, though. So, in this specific case, I will make an exception. Oh no, but now I can't keep track of where the actual um, segments are. How would it look if I just used one loop? We could probably get away with two. Yeah, I think that's probably going to be a good amount. Although the only thing I don't like is how like sharp the sort of peaks on the sides of the grips look, but it's not a huge deal. Maybe there's some smarter way I could fix that problem. How does that look? Um, definitely getting somewhere. What if I just bevel these edges? How would that look? Okay, so that automatically creates some triangles for us. I think that's a good example of how using triangles can actually be good. So you're not, like, wasting edge loops. That actually really helps out here. You know what? Just to make it look a little more sleek, let me just mark this edge sharp. Yes, there's a lot of sleekness there now. I don't know, something about it just doesn't look very detailed. I think there needs to be a bit more of a buffer in between, like, the handle and the cross guard and stuff. So what I'll do is I'll first of all make sure I have the whole thing selected, and then I will duplicate those and select link to the actual handle, and then delete these unneeded faces. I'm going to bridge edge loops. Or actually, you know, I probably don't even need to do that. I just do it manually. Yeah, that already looks way better. Okay, and then I'm gonna clear sharp here, although I actually kind of like having it sharp maybe right there. That looks kind of cool. And then maybe we just add the contour back. The sharpness that was there before. Right? I think that's pretty good. Maybe it would look a bit better if I made the dips go back a little bit farther. Let me just do it all at once. Pretty good, although the contours are a little too deep now. Maybe I could add some overall curve back in for the actual hand. And a good spot to do that would be like right here. Let's use smooth. That's the problem, it takes the entire thing with it. Um, could hide these faces while I do it. Let me just do that. And then if I unhide, like that, that'll probably work. I just have to be kind of careful. And also hide these vertices. And you know what? While I'm at it, just hide these as well. I probably don't need them, if I'm being honest. We don't need too much of a curve, we just kind of want a bit of a protrusion. Kind of like that. Oh yeah, that looks pretty good. Definitely see the contours. Alright, so now we have our standard grip, or our contoured handle, and we have our standard handle. They are both very cool. Alright, I was going to maybe add um, like a piece of rubber as like an attachment maybe for the grip, or for a grip. Um, but now that we have this, I don't know it would work well. It's like when it comes to lining it up and stuff. I mean, maybe if we made the contours a little more shallow, could try that. It's worth a shot. Problem is that the like entire shape of the handle has changed as well, so it probably wouldn't work very well. Um, we could try making uh like a hand cage guard kind of thing, just as an attachment. But it would kind of be like its own specific line of attachments, which I shouldn't really feel hesitation towards. I'm going to commit to that. Um, Let me just see if it's like an actual thing. Combat knife, hand guard. Oh crap! I completely forgot. You have like those crazy like knuckle guard handles where you actually put your fingers into the holes. That could definitely be a different kind of handle we could make. Maybe I'll do that. Um, Question is, do I want to have like the actual holes for each finger, or just like one giant hole for the entire finger group? Uh, I think, well, the holes would look cooler, but honestly, they might not be as tactical. I mean, well, I shouldn't say that. I feel like that would give you a better grip overall. If you were doing like stabbing. Um, but it would definitely like get in the way of your hands if you're trying to just grab it quickly. So I already see how there would kind of be stat bonuses and such there. Um, let's just make it. Yeah, let's just freaking do it. And knuckle handguard. We wanna, if we did the thing for all the fingers, it could be used as an attachment instead. I think I'll call it handle um guarded. And right off the bat, probably want less space or a little bit of extra room for the actual handguard. And it was kind of like a curved handle now, but I digress. Actually, you know what? It might make more sense to use the contoured handle as a basis, just so we have some topology to extrude the fingers from. So let me do that. So just rename it to guarded. Um, Probably rotate around the median point. No easy way to do this, though. Scale along the y-axis. Yeah, let's do this for every single face there. And before I do that, let me just scale them to be a little more uniform. A little more than that. Okay, that's probably good enough. And we'll just give all these some extrusion, like so. Scale along the y-axis, bring them in a little bit. Extrude again, and then we will have to start doing some manual stuff. How exactly are the middle ones going to join together? Something like... Because they have to, like, split. That's the issue. Um... It's very, and I could... I could do is... See, I would only do this for one side, but it's kind of cool to make it uniform. I think I'm gonna do it on that side and also do it on this side. And our sharp edges are getting all screwed up, but we're just gonna ignore that for now. And we have to do that for all three of them. So I think we can make this a little more efficient. Just do all sides at once. And actually, we only have to do it for two of them. That's nice. Extrude, dissolve the edges. That way they should all be able to meet back up. And these are also going to need to sort of be a bit farther back. Just so they have room to sort of branch out. That was a very... That's a swimming motion, I'm not sure. I guess that kind of represents branching out. But you will get the gist shortly. The gist will be gotten. Now I kind of feel like they need to be farther out. Something like this. Okay, and then scale this only on the Y and Z axes. Alright, and we should be able to start rooting these, and you can see how they can just then easily meet up. Definitely gonna have to do some tweaking here, though. This one again. Then extrude this. Extrude everything ever. All right. And I'm going to just move the edges in a little bit here to make a little more space for the monstrosity we're about to create. I should be able to bridge these faces together. Um, is it not in that menu? Bridge. Okay. Interesting. I guess we could do it manually. That's a little annoying. Let's just delete the faces. I guess these would be edge loops. Bridge edge loops. Thank you. Wait, can I just press Control E for that? And I guess that's quicker, although it's not as simple as just pressing Control E. Okay, so now we just have to make it less deformed, and it should be good. Let's do that now. And let me just clear sharp on everything. And yeah, basically just select along this entire topology here. And I will re-sharpen those. Right, and then I'll do the same along the circles here. Marking them sharp, that is. Alright. Yeah, now we just have to make these, like, less wobbly. Or, I guess, more consistently shaped. That'd be about the width we want. That's not exactly what I was trying to do. I think there is a new Fable game coming out, which I'm pretty excited for. Um, Especially if it's actually going to be good, which I hope it will be. Right, looks like there isn't an easy solution for this specific bit of geometry. Yeah, they're more consistently sized, they just need to be more consistently shaped now. I mean, right now it looks really, really messy. Okay, I think I'm gonna end it there. Um, we did actually get things done today, which is always nice, always a good feeling. Uh, and maybe next time we will work more on the animation and character system in Unity, or more on this. I'm not really sure. Um, so yeah, I think I don't really have anything else to say. We've been doing shorter streams recently, but maybe I'll start doing longer ones. I'm not really sure. I kind of like having these shorter bursts. Um, yeah, with that, thank you everyone who stopped in, and I will see you guys next time. Thanks again, everyone.